Hi, I'm Rupam, and this is how I learned to create games. After doing 2 years of masters, I looked for job there in Australia, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to fetch in game development or VR. But I was able to fetch in cloud. At the time, I took that job up because I needed money. I had to clear my loans, so education is costly abroad, right? So I had to take up whatever I got. But after clearing all my debts, I came back to India. So COVID hit at the time. Now I had to start fresh once again. And this time I decided that no matter what, now it's India as well. I'm gonna start in gaming itself. I'm not gonna do any other type of roles. I started looking out for jobs in this field, but I realized that I was failing in a lot of interviews. I was not able to clear them, and a lot of interviewers asked me for my portfolio, which really had not much because during my masters I just made one prototype of a game, and even that was incomplete. So I had no clue about the design principles, about OOPS concepts, where I was lacking even after my masters because in masters what they taught me where most of it was not relevant to how professionals work in the industry, and it was just the basics. When I compared that course to any master's course in India, it's actually easier abroad to clear your course. Well, when I came back to India, after a lot of failures, I decided that I just needed to make my portfolio. I just needed to make games, so I started making games, and I started to watch these tutorials, YouTube, Udemy. Started taking up courses. Started even paying money for courses, the small courses. I think in Udemy you'll find a lot of courses for just 500, 600 bucks. And as I was doing those courses, I started to make my game, but then a lot of concepts just was a block for me. Like I didn't understand how it was going up. At times I felt like I was just mugging up. I was just doing what someone else was doing, and I was just trying to replicate him, but I failed to understand the concepts in between. And as I was browsing through these courses, one fine day, I think in Facebook, I saw something about Outscal. There, I looked up the course. It was good and it had a concrete structure. I didn't know how it would turn up, but I just had to take the bait and I just had to start. I just had to do it. Right, so because it was not working for me, and these guys knew about interviews, these guys knew about placements. Oh yeah, Outscale also has a great placement program, and so that was also something that attracted me. And I thought, because I was not able to crack interviews on my own, maybe these guys will know what to do and how to crack these interviews and how to get a job in this. But they completely blew my expectations because what I learned there, I actually didn't learn in my masters. I did not learn the core concepts of making a game or even a VR game, to be frank. But that blew me out of my mind because they started from scratch, and I had to throw all my previous knowledge out the window, and I had to start from scratch, being someone who did not know anything and just went head on. Because they started from scratch, it actually helped me in clearing my basics, knowing what basic knowledge is required to make a game in this industry. The basic principles of programming, the OOPS concepts. Although I had studied the OOPS concepts before, it was never really a concrete thing in my head, assuming that there are some principles, yes, I need to follow them, but I never really implemented them in practice, which is why I never really understood how these principles work in action, right? So I just had a theoretical knowledge of it. But in Outscale, that's where I actually got to implement these principles, understand them thoroughly. I started learning them in more depth, and that actually grew my knowledge by quite a lot. My professors just knew how to teach. They never really knew how to make the thing professionally. That knowledge lacked in me, I suppose. The first game that I created that made me, say, fuck yeah, I'm a game developer now. I would say it would have to be a Minesweeper game because there we were actually using C++, right? And using C++, I actually integrated, used another graphics library. So it was not just a console-based game, but I had to actually use a graphics library, make graphics out of it, and then make a full-fledged game, and that too Minesweeper, which I had played a lot during my childhood. It was just exciting for me to design your code, the classes, the base class, to implement polymorphism, inheritance, and really that gave me a sense of accomplishment, because for a game engine like Unity and Unreal, they're already made up, right? So someone has already built out the engine for you, and then you all you do is just drag and drop. A lot of stuff are made easy for you, the camera, the physics, and you don't have to do those manually yourself. But because this was using C++, which is kind of a low level language, um, I mean, not low, but it's kind of near to the machine level language. So I learned to integrate that. I learned to integrate, graphics package on my own, and then build a tool. It was like creating a small Unity game engine of my own, right? Because now I have to make the camera calculations, physics calculations, everything on my own. I have to place these grids. So Minesweeper has got these grids and slots, right? And then you have to click and find the bomb. So I had to use the sprites, and then design the structure from scratch. Design the window and calculate the width, height, and the number of cells that it would have. That actually brought me to the realization how these game engines like Unreal, Unity, Godot, how these game engines would have been actually built by developers like us, right? So these are the actual developers who are making a game engine. Games, sure, yeah, once the engine is built, it's ready for you. It reduces your effort by quite a lot, but you don't understand the what goes in the background, what goes with Unity in the background. Do you know when you drag and drop a game object in your scene? Do you know what goes in the background of the of Unity engine? So that I think that's what is required for a real game developer, is to understand what goes behind the scenes, what goes in the background, how these calculations are happening, vectors, points, how these things are placed. You just feel like, it made me feel like I'm able to integrate all these stuff, all this knowledge together, and math, calculation, graphics, programming, all these things you bring together, and then you create your own engine, your own tool, and then your own game, right? So yeah, that's why I think that game will be forever dear to me, because that's what gave me that feeling of a game developer. Yeah, ultimately I would say just follow your heart, finalize what you want to do, and keep doing it every day. Even a small percentage of it will lead you to your goal. You just have to be consistent with it.